Hello, and welcome to episode 37 of the Casual Tryhard Podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And today we're coming to you live.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah. Well, at least in video form.
Yeah.
From the Myrtle Beach Games podcast studio.
Yeah, so thanks to Myrtle Beach Games for letting us do this video with them. And thanks to our good friend Juan, who's the magic man behind the curtain, who's doing all the heavy lifting this week.
Yeah. I have a lot of stuff to grade, so
yeah.
Juan's editing for us.
Well, plus we're a little tired from GP Atlanta, so.
More than a little.
Yeah.
I am dead.
Inside.
That might be a normal state of affairs.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. You're all dead inside. If you want to reach out to us, you can hit us up on Twitter at Casual Tripod.
Yep, you can find us on Facebook at Casual Tryhard MTG. You can email us, show@casualtryhardmtg.com. We've also got a YouTube channel. Basically, it's just our audio in video form, so there's nothing super special there. But if you'd rather find us on YouTube, it's Casual Tryhard MTG.
Since the new set's coming out, I will probably do a video of me playing Sealed or two this probably Thursday or Friday.
Yep.
I'll try to get one out.
We're also going to do build a sealed pool on camera for Myrtle Beach Games. We'll probably film that Thursday, so it'll be out at some time this weekend, I'm hoping.
Something for you to look at before you go to your pre-release.
Yep. If you like this kind of content, you can find our video reviews of sets. We do them every time a set comes out, every time any pre-con decks come out. But you can find those at Myrtle Beach Games' YouTube channel. That's something fun for you to check out. And this episode, we are going to kind of speed through because we've got a whole bunch to cover.
Yes, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep. We were at GP Atlanta this past weekend. We're going to touch on that briefly, but we're going to save that for next week's episode because we want to get this Throne of Eldraine review out. So
we'll start with Magic Fest real quick,
yep.
And then go from there. What happened? How'd you do?
I did okay. My goal was to have an even record. I am not a legacy guru by any means. I know you guys have been following along with the content we've been putting out and our prep for this tournament, and I was a little nervous about it. I ended up 5-3, so a little bit better than I was hoping for. I didn't day 2, but I had a good time. Played a bunch of Legacy.
That's good.
Yeah. How'd you do?
I have the most garbage record that was good ever.
Yeah.
I went 9-3-3. So 3 draws. I got 3 draws at a Magic tournament with a deck that can kill you on turn 2.
Yeah, you were playing a fast combo deck.
Yes, and I got 3 draws because I kept turning all my matches into rock fights.
Yeah.
But I finished with 30 match points, and they've changed the payout structure some. So they paid down to 110th place, and I was 101st.
There you go. How many people were in this event?
1,021.
Okay.
I did not too shabby.
Yeah.
I got to play a single match of Magic for $250.
Yeah.
That I won.
Congratulations.
So that was cool.
Yep.
One day I'll figure out how to properly thread tweets on Twitter. About halfway down my thread, it always breaks, and I don't know why.
Oops.
I'm old.
Yeah.
But I was trying to keep a running tally of how we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
When you start drawing all the time, you lose time to...
yeah, don't have a whole lot of time to put tweets out.
Yeah, when you're the last match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yep.
But...
So you were 6-1-1 on day 1?
6-1-1 after 8 rounds, day 1.
Yep.
I beat Death and Taxes, which is the Nightmare matchup.
Yep. I also beat Death and Taxes, which is our Nightmare matchup.
And then I went from that Nightmare into Mono Red Prison.
Which is the other Nightmare.
Round 9, lost.
Yeah.
But beat Mono Red Prison for $250, round
there you
15.
Go. Yep. Through a turn 1 Chandra, right?
Yes, turn 1 Chandra.
Pretty impressive.
1. So we'll talk more about that, and if you listen to last episode, we talked about our preparation for the event and kind of our new idea and way to how to do it.
It helped a lot, spoiler alert.
Yeah, so we want to kind of go through what looked good there and what didn't work too well. But the big thing that is happening is Throne of Eldraine.
Yeah, pre-release is this coming weekend. Super stoked.
We want to touch on the set a little bit. The video people might not have as much background as you audio folk.
Yep.
We're going to touch on the set, some of the mechanics briefly, and then get into some single card evaluations and things we think will be good or interesting in standard, maybe some other formats.
Yep.
The theme is what?
It's kind of like Camelot, like Arthurian meets like fairy tales meets like high fantasy.
Yeah, it is an interesting mix of things.
Yeah.
It's like Goldilocks and like the Three Little Pigs and Excalibur.
Yep.
It's kind of a weird mish.
Yeah, it seems like it all works though.
Yeah, but it does work.
Yeah.
And it is a different vibe than a lot of our recent Magic sets.
Oh yeah.
It is much more fun and like laid back.
Yeah, we have the Ginger Brute.
Yeah, which is just a gingerbread man running out of a window.
And he has like super haste.
Yes. Can only be blocked by creatures with haste.
Yeah, weird. Run as fast as you can.
Yeah, you've got to be able to catch the gingerbread man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the set is a very like top-down design set where it seems like they were like, we want to make a gingerbread man. What in the little nursery rhyme about the gingerbread man
can we use to make a card? Yeah.
We want to make Excalibur.
Right.
How can we make that card? It was more like
the Lady in the Lake.
Yeah, they had things they wanted to hit or like certain like tropes they wanted to hit.
Yeah.
And so they picked the trope, then designed the card to like feed into the trope.
Yeah, the last set that we had like this, I guess technically was Shadows, but that was kind of a revisit of this idea already. The last like brand new top-down design that they did was Theros, and that block went over really well. That was really well done.
See, I was thinking like the one that always comes to mind is kind of Shadows over Innistrad. Not Shadows, I mean just Innistrad.
Yeah, but that wasn't the last one, though. The last one was Theros.
But Innistrad's like one of the more famous, like the kind of the most famous example of that, where they just really hit a set out of the park with flavor.
Yep.
And the cards seem fun.
Oh, yeah.
Right, which is, and it's different. We've come off of 3 or maybe 4 sets, maybe more, that it's all been like doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, ever since like Amonkhet, right?
Yeah, like everything's like, the whole story is like the end times and like all these like big battles for like, you know, control of the multiverse. And now it's like gingerbread men and turning things into elk.
The golden goose.
And so it's a much like different, like less serious set.
Yep.
So
it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to pre-release this weekend.
They introduced 3 new mechanics.
Yep.
The first one is food.
Yeah, food seems kind of sweet. Kind of reminds me of a cross between like Energy from Kaladesh and the Clue tokens Investigate from Shadows. Food is an artifact token with 2 mana tap sacrifice, gain 3 life. But that's not all that food does. A lot of the cards in this set interact with food in some way. A lot of them
eat food.
Yeah, like the Feasting Troll King eats food, comes back to life. The Beanstalk Giant, the Beanstalk Giant doesn't make food. What's the one that
there's? What is it called? It's 2 and a green for either for a sorcery that's sack 2 foods, make a 7/7.
Yeah.
Or
make 3 food. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of cards that rely on food to do things. There's the Witch's Oven, which you
sacrifice a creature, make a food.
Yeah. So it's
turn your children into pie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So food is kind of like a cross between like you said, like an additional extra resource.
Yeah.
Like energy was.
Yep.
But then just like a permanent that you can interact with and has some small effect on the game. Like a clue token.
Yep. Most of the things that make food are just kind of like tacked onto a spell that was okay anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to go super far out of your way to make food. And depending on how these payoffs end up, maybe it's worthwhile even playing some spells that you wouldn't want to play just to make the food.
The food payoffs might be good enough. There's a few that are close.
Yep.
And we'll have to see if they like work out.
So the next mechanic is Adamant. What's Adamant do?
Adamant is you can cast the spell for its normal cost, either a creature or non-creature spell.
Yep.
And then if you pay color to cast that spell, you get an extra bonus.
Yeah, it's not in addition to the mana cost. Yeah. It's like as you're paying the mana cost.
So there's, I wish I remember all the card names.
It's like 2 and a red.
Deal 3.
Yep.
But if you pay red,
yep,
you deal 4.
Yep.
So there's all these cards that get this little added bonus if you pay 4 of the same, 3 of the same color.
Right.
But most of those cards are like 2 or like generic mana plus 1 of the adamant color. So you can cast it in its like non-adamant mode pretty easily. Like they're splashable.
Yeah.
But they also reward you for being heavy in that color.
Now, I also don't think there's any adamant cards at higher rarities, right? There's no mythics with adamant.
No.
So that kind of tells me this might just be a limited mechanic.
It might be.
And we know that we're going back to Theros next. Last time we were at Theros, Devotion was a big thing. This kind of might also be like prepping us to get ready for Devotion also.
Yeah, and if you think about like the core 20 mythics, the Cavalier cycle, they were all generic color.
Right.
Again, like trying to set you up for playing really heavy one color with a splash kind of decks.
Yep.
And then we have Adventures.
Yeah, Adventures seems sweet. They're all packed with value. There's some really good ones we're going to go over in a minute. They're kind of like a split card, like from Ravnica, except they work a little bit differently. They are all creatures that have an extra adventure mode. You can always cast the creature if you just want the creature, or you can cast the adventure side of it. The adventure side, I believe on all of them, is either an instant or a sorcery. So you cast it for its adventure, and then when it resolves, instead of going to your graveyard, it goes to exile, because your creature is now on an adventure, and then you're allowed to cast a creature from exile also.
So it's a lot of spells that are like, basically think of it as get this spell, draw the creature side of it.
Right.
So all the cards are basically 2 for 1, especially if the adventure side is borderline. If the adventure side is good and the creature is okay, cards great.
Yeah.
If the spell's okay and the creature's good, cards great.
Right.
And there's a few that both sides are good.
Yeah.
Cards ridiculous.
Right. Probably some of the best cards in the set.
Yeah. So it's gonna be hard to evaluate them until you play with them in like limited and constructed. Because we're not used to like one card giving you your 2-drop and your 3-drop.
Yeah.
Or your 1-drop and your 2-drop. Or your 3-drop and your 7-drop. So you just have this wide spread of cards that are able to do double duty in your curve. Mm-hmm. They play really well with like bounce effects. Mm-hmm. Right? You cast the adventure, you get the creature, you bounce the creature, you cast the adventure, you cast the creature again.
Super value.
Yes. So those are the mechanics. We kind of want to look at some specific single card we think we'll either see play in standard or maybe back in older formats. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing is a cycle of mythic artifacts that are tied to the castles of each color of Magic.
Yeah, each in this set, each like race or realm or whatever you want to call it has their own castle, and each castle is kind of used as a powerful artifact.
Yeah.
One's supposed to be the round table. And
yeah. The first one is the white one. It's Circle of Loyalty. Mm-hmm. So all these artifacts have really high casting costs.
Yeah.
But they get some cost reduction for something, again, associated with the castle. So Circle of Loyalty is 4 white and costs 1 less to cast for each knight you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, you get a knight, a 2/2 knight. All your knights get +1/+1, and you can pay 3 and a white and tap this to make a knight.
Yeah, sounds like this card just kind of explodes in a knight deck, huh?
Yeah, like play a couple knights, and like on turn 3 or 4, you get like a Benelish Marshal that just makes other Benelish Marshals. So it seems like you can get away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It is a little rough if like your guys get Wrath. Like if your opponent's like, Kaya's Wrath, bounce your thing with a Teferi, then you like never cast it again.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward.
You know, if you get out in front of someone, like just the extra power you get, and if they can't get rid of the artifact, get to slowly reload. You are on one hand wrath proof because you can just remake your guys. Mm-hmm. But if it gets bounced, then it's just harder.
Yeah, it's tough to get back down.
But that one looks like if there is an aggressive like Knight's deck, this would be like kind of the top. And like the dream is to like on like turn 4, you have 4 knights out and you play that for 2 mana.
Yeah.
And then you're just super far ahead.
I mean, even if you're playing it for 3 mana, I think you're pretty happy with that. Yeah, if you go like 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. The next one is the Cauldron of Eternity. It's 10 black for its casting cost. Mm-hmm. It costs 2 less for each creature card in your graveyard.
Yes.
So it's kind of promoting like a self-mill or sacrifice strategy.
Yeah, and they definitely that's like supported in the limited environment, like a mill strategy.
Yeah. There is a drawback. It says when a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of your library so you don't get to like use things that are already on the battlefield. So it's definitely better to self-mill with this than it is to sacrifice.
Yeah.
The real ability, the one that you're playing this for, is 2 and a black. Tap it and pay 2 life to return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah. You can only activate it as a sorcery, but typically this effect comes with either sacrifice at the end of the turn or exile it at the end of the turn.
Yeah.
And you don't have that here.
Yeah, so you just get big thing. Vilas, Broker of Blood.
Yeah.
Right? When you bring him back, the next thing you bring back...
You draw 2 cards.
You draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some creatures that will pay you off. Mm-hmm. There's been some lists of people trying things right now that are like just blue-black.
Yeah.
That like in blue has a lot of ways right now to like mill yourself. Something we'll talk about later lets you cast artifacts from your graveyard. Right. So if you do mill this, there's a way to get it back.
Yep.
Get to like turn 5 and you get to play it for black.
Oh.
And then activate it.
Yeah, you're golden.
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah.
Like now.
Yeah, your turn 5 is put this in play and reanimate a Vilas.
Good game. Good game. Good talk, everyone. This card is similar to Whip of Erebos from the Theros block. That was 2 black to activate, but it also gave all your creatures lifelink.
Yeah, and that was kind of a big deal with that card, and there was no life loss attached. But,
yeah, it was just...
So that makes me a little nervous about the playability of this. But, I mean, Whip was great. It was a whole archetype.
This could definitely could be something that is really powerful.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, a lot of different ways right now that you could build this kind of deck. In Standard, we have all the Golgari cards that milled things.
Glowspore Shaman, stuff like that.
Yeah, that have kind of not seen a lot of play.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we lose Stitcher Supplier.
We do. Can't have all the nice things.
Yeah, but I want all the nice things.
So do I. And then we have the Great Henge.
Yeah, I think this one's my favorite.
We'll see. There's too much of this effect, I almost feel like.
There probably is. And, like, the other times that we've had this effect, like, it hasn't been great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the Great Henge is a 7 green, and it costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control.
Yeah, so if you have a 4-drop out, I mean, not a 4-drop, you have a 4-power creature, this costs 3 green.
Right.
If you have a big 7/6 dinosaur, this costs green.
Yep.
Tap, add green, gain 2 life.
Yeah, that's great.
That is great. And whenever a non-token creature you control enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card.
Yep, that's also great.
So if you could play Henge with the Cauldron, you could tap the Henge and gain 2 life, tap a swamp.
There you go.
Bring back a creature.
Put a counter on it and draw a card.
There you go. So if you just have a pile of mythics that you can, like...
Combo wombo.
There we go. We did it.
Yep, let's go.
Did it. It's, just standard wallet. You just throw your wallet on the table and see whose wallet has more money in it.
Yeah, that was a deck at one point, right? The Grixis wallet.
Yeah. Grixis Mythics.
Yeah.
So that's the cycle of legendary artifacts. The red one, less good. The blue one seems like it's not going to be super playable.
Yep. Oh, you're all out of...
I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll figure it out. For the audience at home, we got back at 1 o'clock in the morning from Atlanta. James drove the whole way, so I didn't really do that much work. I did stay awake so he didn't fall asleep and kill us all. He got to just go home and sleep. I had to go to work and give 3 exec
Well,
tests.
I mean, I didn't just go home and go to sleep. I had an episode to prepare.
This is fair. Fair.
I didn't sleep all day, just till like 8 o'clock.
I woke up at 6:30.
Yeah.
I'm a little out of it. I'm all hopped up on regular Dr. Pepper.
Regular Dr.
Oh
Pepper.
my God. We have a rare cycle of lands.
Well, +1.
+1?
Yeah. We have a rare cycle +1.
Fair.
Yeah, I just lumped kind of all the rare lands together and figured we'd all talk about them at the same time. So the first one is the +1. It's a Fabled Passage. It is just a land. It has tap, sacrifice Fabled Passage, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. Then, if you control 4 or more lands, untap that land.
Yeah, so it's kind of better Evolving Wilds.
But worse fetch land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in the middle of between Evolving Wilds, which is like blatantly unplayable.
Well, I mean, there's been points where Evolving Wilds is playable in Standard.
Yeah, but they're few and far between. They're usually like synergizing with other things. Like there was a point where like the blue-black control decks would play Evolving Wilds to turn on their Fatal Pushes.
Right.
But just like, I need to fix my mana with an Evolving Wilds typically doesn't happen.
Not really where you want to be.
But since our cycle of rare lands in this set aren't dual lands, there's not good fixing for like even 2-color decks or a lot of the color pairs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do feel that this is going to be the backbone of a lot of mana bases.
Yes, it's going to have to be.
At least until we get some more lands.
Yeah, a thing to keep in mind is even the decks that are going to have good mana are going to have 4 shocks, 4 temples, which come into play tapped.
Yeah.
And for the first 3 turns, if you have a Fabled Passage, that land's going to come into play tapped.
Yeah.
All of those things together kind of lead you to a place where maybe the aggressive decks end up having to be a little bit slower that are 2 colors because on the early turns, a lot of their lands are going to come into play tapped.
Well, I mean, it probably leads to a place where the aggressive decks are not 2 colors.
Yes, they have to be monocolored.
Yeah, and it also kind of pushes the mid-range decks a little bit more mid-range than they traditionally would be. So we'll see what happens there.
It may change a lot of the format. Like we got spoiled with Gruul having great mana. Well, Gruul has like mana now.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, and Red-Black has had great mana, and now it's going to have like mana. But yeah, I think that this card is going to be kind of the glue that holds all the 2-color decks together.
Yeah.
Notice we haven't said 3 color decks because I don't know how good that mana is going to be if that can work at all. All right, so the next type of card we want to talk about is Planeswalkers.
Yep.
There are 3 Planeswalkers in the set.
We're going to talk about 2 of them.
Hopefully we've not been horribly wrong.
I don't think we're wrong. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. So the first one I think might be standard defining.
It could be. It definitely has the potential to be.
And that's Oko, Thief of Crowns.
Yep.
So it's 1 blue-green for Planeswalker Oko.
Yep.
With 4 starting loyalty.
That's pretty big.
Plus 2.
Yeah. Goes to 6.
2. Goes to 6. Create a food token. So worst case scenario, this card kind of reads like gain 9 life because you get the 6 from them trying to kill your Oko plus the 3 you get from the food.
Yeah.
That's good. And then plus 1. So that's the second plus ability. You heard right. Turn an artifact or a creature into a 3/3 elk.
Like the food you just made.
Now it doesn't destroy the creature.
Right.
It just
makes it an elk.
It turns it to elk if that were a card. Like the frog, the card like turned to frog, or it makes it a 1/1 frog. This just makes it a 3/3 elk. So you can go plus make a food, turn my food into a 3/3. Or there's the what's the Dreadhorde Invasion trick?
Yeah. You turn when every upkeep you lose a life and put a counter on a zombie army you control. If you don't have a zombie army, you make one and put a counter on it. With Oko, you turn your 0/0 zombie army into a 3/3 elk that still keeps the 1/1 counter.
And is no longer a zombie army.
So you make a new one next turn?
Yeah, so you just like have infinite 4/4s.
Yeah, every upkeep for 1 life.
Yeah, pay a life, make a 4/4.
Yep.
Tick up my Planeswalker.
Seems good.
How could Oko protect himself? You can -5 Oko, and you can switch possession of an artifact or creature you control for a creature your opponent controls with power. So the reason I think this could be like format defining is it really kind of like blunts aggro.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if you play this on turn 3, you're like, plus my Oko. Now you take their 3-drop the next turn if you have any kind of board to like protect Oko. Or if you Golden Goose to get Oko out on turn 2, like if you're on the play, they can't play a 2-drop because you take it. If they don't play their 2-drop, then you just play a 3-drop or a 4-drop, and then you take their next creature, and they just can't ever get ahead. So it seems like it could like just put a boot on like small creatures in the format because you just get 2 for 1.
Yeah, no, this is a -5, so it's not something that you're probably going to have to worry about like more than once, but it is going to influence deck building decisions.
Yeah, like the first time they like plus make a food, they have the next turn switch.
Right.
And now if the game's slowed down and you don't have like a way to pressure Oko, plus do it again. Now there's a particular 3-drop that gets around this little problem of having 3 power.
We'll come back to that in a little bit. The next Planeswalker.
This is your boy, go nuts.
This is my boy, Garruk Cursed Huntsman. 4 black-green for a Garruk Planeswalker with 5 loyalty. And we have kind of returned to the old like templating for Planeswalkers.
Okay.
Where the first ability protects itself, the second ability gets you some sort of card advantage, and the third ability wins you the game.
Yes.
So Garruk has a 0 ability, not a plus ability, where it reads, create 2/2 black and green wolf creature tokens with, when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garruk you control.
Yes.
We only have 1 in standard, but there's a bunch of others.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
It has a -3 of destroy target creature, draw a card, and it has a -6, so only 1 more than starting loyalty. You get an emblem with creatures you control get +3/+3 and trample.
The idea is you can make a wolf army, force them to have to kill a wolf, and then that lets you activate your Garruk.
Yep. You also have the Night Pack Ambusher, which buffs wolves. So it kind of makes your opponent have to deal with your basically free 3/3s every turn.
Yeah, or play Crafter, sack your own wolf so you can activate your like 2 for 1 them. So you can activate your Garruk.
I mean, to that extent, you could play Priest of Forgotten Gods too.
Yes, you could.
Sack 2 wolves, put 2 counters on Garruk, make them sack a creature, draw a card, couple mana.
And then you get to keep your Garruk.
Yeah.
There's a third one that's blue and red. Didn't make the list yet.
I didn't include it in the list because I didn't think it was fantastic, but as we're doing this podcast, I remembered something that I wrote later in the episode, so...
We'll circle back.
Maybe we'll circle back to that one.
So we talked about there's castles.
Yep.
Every castle has to have a ruler. Oh, man.
Yorvo.
Thank you.
Yeah. He's the Lord of Garenbrig. He has keyword big.
Yes, he's just big.
Yep. He costs green, and he's a 0/0, so
that's not
really
big.
that big. But he enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters, and then whenever a green creature enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on him. And if that creature had more power than Yorvo, you put another +1/+1 counter on him.
Because Yorvo does not want to be smaller than anyone.
Right, yeah. Yorvo just wants to be big. Keyword big.
Is this good enough for standard is the question. Steel Leaf Champion was...
For a brief minute, yeah.
Yeah, but it had one more power and some form of evasion.
Yeah, this does not.
Yeah, this guy just gets like chumped by whatever idiots are on the other side of the battlefield.
Yeah, he gets chumped by the goblin that the red land made that they didn't put a card into.
Or the ones that the white land makes, and then you feel sad. If there's a green like Stompy deck, if just like big green idiots is good enough, he's probably good enough.
He is a big green idiot.
Now here's a big red idiot. What do we call this guy?
His name is Torban Throne of Redfell.
That's not his name.
No, I call him the Big Angry Dwarf.
Big Angry Dwarf. He's bad.
He's
a bad man.
He is a bad dwarf. Yeah.
Big Angry Dwarf.
Yeah. So he costs colorless and then red for a 2/4, which kind of doesn't sound great. But then you read his text, and it says, if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much +2. So he's really a 4/4.
He's really a 4/4. The reason you can tell this card is all the other ones are color. They had to throw an extra mana on him.
Yeah.
Because I think they play tested him and were like, oh, we done messed up.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in play design were dying on turn 4.
Yeah.
And they were like,
well, this had to be in development the same time Modern Masters was, right? So Tom Ross worked on this set?
Yeah, so perhaps he just killed a bunch of people on turn 4.
I'm sure he killed a lot of people on turn 4. It's like not out of the realm of possibility or even hard to, what did we figure out, 18 damage on turn 4?
With him costing 4.
With him costing 4,
With him costing 3, it's just nuts. But like if you have the Sword Spitter or something.
Yeah, Sword Spitter, yeah.
Deals 1 when it attacks.
Yep, and then Cavalcade.
And then
Chandra,
and then this guy, you attack and you get 4 triggers from your Cavalcade.
Yep, that each do an extra 2.
Well, 3 triggers from your Cavalcade plus the trigger from the Spitter.
Right.
So they each do 3 total.
Yep.
That's 12.
Right.
And if any of them connect, they connect for 3.
Right.
Yeah, like you're dead.
Dead. DED dead.
Dead. At like 3 mana, this at red just would open up like untap on turn 4, like shock you.
Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, cool. You had like 3 burn spells and I died.
Yeah.
This could be really good. Like, I am a little dubious of like red strategies. I was maybe proven a little wrong with Cavalcade decks. If there's a good red strategy, it's because of this guy.
Yeah.
This guy's why the red decks will be good.
Yep, I think so too. The only awkward thing that I can see is that normally your 4-drop slot in red wants to be a way to get you back in the game.
Yeah,
if you've kind of petered out.
He wants you to have board presence or some way to utilize him. Yeah, he's not going to catch you up. He's not a Chandra or, some Armina can. Yeah, a Frenzy.
So the next one is Ayara?
Sure.
Yeah. She's the first of Lochthwain. It's black for a 2/3. Whenever Arya or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And you can tap it and sack another black creature to draw a card. I think the card's fine. I don't think it's anything fantastic, but it's fine.
Garrick makes black wolves, right?
It does. Yep.
So there you go. There's another way to put something on Garrick and draw a card.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems fine. It's rough that it limits you to black creatures.
Yeah, I mean, it costs black anyway, so you're probably not going to jam it in
like
a 3-color deck.
In your Chandra deck with like your black, red, garbage mana deck.
Right.
So then there's Gadwick, the Wizened.
Yeah, and you kind of like this one, right?
Yeah, so it's blue, X.
Yeah.
For a 3/3.
What's the X do?
The X draws you cards.
That's it?
You draw cards equal to X when it enters the battlefield.
All right. But it doesn't affect the creature at all.
No,
so
he's just a 3/3.
There's no X counters. There's no...
he's just cards.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's weird.
It's just all the cards.
Well, I mean, cards are good, but that's like strange.
Yeah, it is strange that there's an X that doesn't do anything to like the actual creature. Because we're used to like Hydras or various robots that are X that come in with X counters.
Yeah.
he just comes in and gives you X cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then has, I guess, almost trinket text, but you'll probably lose games to it.
Yeah.
Whenever you cast a blue spell, tap target non-land permanent and opponent controls. I was looking at this as like extra hybrid Crasises.
Kind of. It's not gonna close a game like Crasis will.
No, but like there's a lot of times where you play like your blue-green ramp deck and you just need to like draw 3 cards to like have a hand again.
Yeah.
And you've like had to cast a Crasis for 2 to draw a card, so you had a body early on, and then you had to, and like you've just not got to like your 3rd Crasis that you needed.
Yeah.
And just having like Crasis really maybe like 5 and 6 to just refill.
Maybe just 5. I don't know if it wants.
That's like 1. But just,
like the Crasis, it has more text than just refilling your hand, though.
It does.
Like the life gain is super important.
It does.
And this doesn't.
But this does like get you to your next one.
Yeah.
Right? It can be a bridge of like, I can pay, where like a Crasis that was a 4/4 that gained 2 and this would draw an extra card. Right? So it just gets you a little bit deeper. So it might see play in small numbers in those kind of decks as a way to refill. It does have the problem that it can get countered, where Crasis, you get the cards regardless.
Yeah.
And then this last one, I don't know who wants to play this card.
Yeah, me neither. It's bad.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
It's Linden the Steadfast Queen. White for a 3/3 with vigilance.
Yep.
And whenever a white creature you control attacks, gain a life.
Yeah, guess what you don't want to do in your white aggressive deck? Gain life.
Yeah.
You want to dead people.
Well, I mean, like a Johnny's Pride Might's still in the format, and New Johnny still makes...
Fair, but like, I don't know if you're about that.
No, I don't think so either. But
yeah, I mean...
Like, you're definitely not taking your 3rd turn off to do this, I don't think.
Well, I guess the only thing is that it's an attack trigger. So you attack with your Johnny's Pride Mate, it's a 3/3.
Yep.
You could help sizing wise. It means that a Johnny's Pride Mate has to be good.
Right.
There's that like brief window where for one tournament a Johnny's Pride Mate was good.
Yeah.
And people went like, oh wait, this is a draft uncommon. Yeah, it seems weird. It doesn't seem like, if it was, I guess I just couldn't print Banalish Marshal again. Like that's what a white aggressive deck wants, is they want Banalish Marshal.
Yeah, they want some sort of lord.
Or they want like all your creatures have indestructible.
Yeah.
This competes at like 3 mana with what's the rare addendum? Like your creatures +1/+1 and indestructible.
Unbreakable Formation.
Yeah. Right, like you would almost rather have Unbreakable Formation.
Just rather have that.
Yeah, so she has competition for a spot in a deck.
The next thing here is what I have dubbed the Tempo Twins.
Yes, these cards are great.
They are both great and might make me want to play Islands.
Yeah, like I came up with just an observation on the way back, and we were like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
So we have Brazen Borrower, which is a mythic, and it's 1 blue for a 3/1 flyer.
Flash.
Yep. It can only block creatures with flying.
Who cares?
You're going to be attacking with this guy.
Yes, 100%.
And then it has an adventure.
Return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand.
It is your 2-drop and your 3-drop.
Yep, it is Clearway and...
It's like if you could play like Disperse.
Yeah.
But Disperse said draw a 3/1 flash flyer.
Right.
Like every single time you cast Disperse.
Yeah.
Your play pattern could be like on the play, your opponent plays a 2-drop, you bounce it, or at the end of their next turn, you play a 3/1 flash flyer.
Yeah, you leave counter magic up and then play a 3/1 flash flyer at the end of their turn if they don't do anything.
And if they do something, you use your counter magic. Or you kill it with the other card.
Yeah, this one's my favorite. A Bone Crusher Giant.
The art is just a giant literally stomping on someone.
Yeah, it's great. And the storybook frame or whatever, the alternate art is even better.
Okay.
Because it's like the foot coming at you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's great. It's 2 and a red for a 4/3 that says whenever it becomes the target of a spell, Bone Crusher Giant deals 2 damage to that spell's controller.
So kill it, they take 2.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily even kill it. Like anytime it's targeted.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I would hope that your opponent was not just like...
All right, but like if they have to tap it or something.
Yeah, fair.
Or even if like somebody bounces it with a Brazen Buccaneer.
A Brazen Borrower?
That's what I meant. Yeah, Brazen Borrower.
We went back to Ixalan. I was like, what?
There's Robin Hood in here somewhere.
He's
a Buccaneer, kind of.
But he has an adventure, which is Stomp. I was so high on like Robin Hood as Buccaneer. A man who's never been on the ocean his entire life.
Whatever.
A dude who rides a horse with a bow and arrow. Pirates.
I mean, he was kind of a pirate, though, just without a boat.
Sure, he was the Jack Sparrow of the trees.
I mean, he was, though.
There we go. Okay. Stomp. One of the red, instant.
Yep.
Deal 2 damage to any target.
Damage can't be prevented.
Damage can be prevented.
Not just its damage, like any damage.
Yeah, damage can't be prevented. One of the 4 abilities that protection gives you.
Yeah.
Your opponent has a creature that has a Cerulean Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you have another Bone Crusher Giant, and you attack. And they're like, I want to block your Bone Crusher Giant with my Cerulean Drake. I'm so smart.
Yep.
And then you play Stomp, and you hit them for 2.
Right.
Now, Cerulean Drake's protection doesn't prevent damage.
Super dead.
You kill it.
Yep.
Or you kill their other 2 toughness creature, and then you can get their Drake as well.
Yeah.
Right? So it gives you an out to turn off protection in certain spots.
Yep.
Which is kind of the big thing it's for. And if somehow we have some garbage fog deck,
right?
Yeah, you can't fog be full.
That is correct.
So Bone Crusher Giant does the same thing as Brazen Borrower.
Yeah, it's your 2-drop and your 3-drop.
Right, like adding 1 mana to Shock to always draw a 4/3.
Absolutely.
Is great.
100% of the time.
Right, if the card was 1 on a red, deal 2 to any target, search your deck for a 3-mana 4/3, you would play that card 100% of the time in your red deck.
But it's a 3-mana 4/3 with upside.
Yes. Yeah, it's not even just a vanilla.
Yeah.
Like these 2 cards together.
And you would play just 2 in a red, make a 4/3 with, when it gets targeted, shock the controller. Like even without the option to shock something.
So this is where the Bone Crusher Giant is where both sides of the card are good. Like you could say that Stomp it's overcosted compared to Shock.
I mean,
but it's
slightly
close.
Though. Like Skull Crack is 1 more damage
and does kind of prevent life gain.
Yeah,
but it's close. It's like right at the edge of standard playable, and Bone Crusher Giant is standard playable, and so it makes the card very powerful.
Right.
So we were talking about like these 2 cards together.
Yeah.
Blue Red has the Temple, and it has a Shockland. You got 8 duels, and so you have this spot where you have your 2-drop and your 3-drop rolled up in 2 4-ofs.
Yeah.
Like you were never going to run out of card. You're always going to have something to do.
Something relevant.
And so, you combine that with a few counter spells, some shocks, and you end up with a deck.
Yeah.
Kind of like the blue-green decks we've had, but instead of Frilled Mystic, you just punch people in the face.
I like punching people in the face.
And it's anger issues, but whatever, man. There we go. Send someone to do your dirty work. I see how it is.
Get my hands dirty.
We have a section that we're just calling The Rest.
Yeah.
So the first one is Acclaimed Contender. So this is a 2 and a white for a 3/3.
Which is a pretty good rate anyway.
It's fine. Like a 3/3 vanilla wouldn't get played in standard.
No, but it's not like you're unhappy for those stats off of your 3 mana.
So when this comes into play, if you control another knight, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your library for a knight, an equipment,
or an aura.
And put it into your hand. So there is some danger that he can be a 3/3 vanilla.
Right.
If you don't have enough knights around him.
Or auras or equipment.
Yeah. But you have to have a knight in play to get the trigger.
Right.
You have to have a knight on the battlefield, and so if you don't have a knight, he doesn't do anything. Like he's just card advantage if you have a deck built with 16 to 20 knights.
Yeah, if there is a knight deck, he is definitely a key part of it.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to refill your hand after you've put some cheap guys out on the battlefield.
Yeah. So
and it kind of seems like Wizards is pushing to be like a standard knight deck.
Yes.
Because the only piece of fixing that we got in this set is a tri-land 4 knights.
Tournament Grounds.
Yeah.
Taps for a colorless, and it taps for red, white, black for knights, equipment, and aura spells, or just knights and equipment.
It might just be knights and equipment.
Yeah, so basically it fixes the Mardu colors, which is the knight colors.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be an aggressive deck.
Yep.
And you can't play a bunch of tap lands in your aggressive deck.
Right.
Are we listening? You can't play a bunch of tap lands in your aggressive deck.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. But I want to play all my spells. You want to play all your spells on time.
On time is more important.
Yes. But so they have that land again. It's not legendary. So if you are going to play knights, you just jam 4 of those in your deck. That's the start of your mana base.
100%.
Right, you get to have 12 untapped
Yeah.
dual lands between the shocks.
Yep.
And, oh no, not 12, you get like 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, so math
You
is
probably
hard.
don't play all of the shocks, though.
Yeah, but you can if you need to.
Mhm.
You have all of them. The next card, James just had a revelation, as I explained to him, is Charming Prince.
Yeah, it's a 1 and a white for a 2/2. What's his ability?
When he comes into play, you get to choose one.
Choose one of how many things?
3 things.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's a charm.
It's a charm. Yeah, all the charms in Magic are 3 abilities, pick one.
Yep.
He's a dude with 3 abilities, thus he's a Charming Prince.
Yep.
His 3 abilities are Scry 2, gain 3 life, exile a creature you own, and return it to the battlefield under your control
At the end of the turn.
at the end of the turn.
Yep.
So the you own is important, like if your creature gets stolen by an agent of treachery,
Mhm.
you just get to get it back.
Or mass manipulation.
Yeah.
You can also flicker something that's been turned into an elk.
Yep, and get it back.
Yep.
Or something that has like Frogify
Yep.
on it or Trap in a Tower. These are all things you can do. Standard, it's never going to be dead because of the Scry 2.
Right.
Right? Like if you just play a 2 mana 2/2 Scry 2,
It's kind of odd for a white card, though, isn't it? Just
It
a
just has-
2 mana 2/2 Scry 2.
it is. They've stapled Scry
Yeah.
onto so many different things that don't feel like they belong in that color. And they've like started stapling Flash on like black creatures, which is super weird.
It is weird.
They're like colored hot pie, no color pie. So it's never dead, but none of the abilities are super strong, like standalone by themselves.
Yeah.
Like gain 3 life is fine. If there's like an aggressive red deck and that's great.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1.
Right.
It's a 2/2 that's going to trade with one of their guys and gain you
Yeah.
3 life.
Like you have to have creatures that you want to get the enter the battlefield ability
Yeah.
off of for the flicker. You may or may not have that.
Mhm.
Right? Like, but it's in the same color as things like Deputy of Detention. Like
Right. So you can reset your deputy.
you eat a bunch of tokens and then you reset it and then you get to get something else.
You got deputy, hydroid crisis, and then
Kill it when you bring it back. Night of Autumn.
Mhm.
Like you blow up an artifact and then you reset it and you get a 4/3.
Right.
Right. So you have these like natural synergies in its colors.
Mhm.
But none of the abilities are just like, oh wow, this is great.
you wouldn't play any of them on its own, probably.
Yeah, if it was 2 mana 2/2 Scry 2 and that was your only option ever, you don't play it.
No.
If it's 2 mana 2/2 gain 3 life, you
Probably don't play it.
maybe it's in your sideboard for if there's a mono red deck and it was the flicker, probably don't play it.
Right.
So it's just
The utility makes it worth it.
Yeah. You have enough options that it makes it so you might play it at some point.
Mm-hmm. So the next card we probably wouldn't normally talk about, but it seems too fun not to.
Yeah.
And we know we're going to get questions about it, so we're going to talk about it.
There we go.
It's Happily Ever After. This is the alternate win condition card for this set. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. It says when Happily Ever After enters a battlefield, each player gains 5 life and draws a card. So symmetrical effect.
Okay.
It says at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, and there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control in your graveyard or the battlefield, and your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, you win the game. So there's a whole bunch of hoops to jump through.
A whole bunch of hoops.
However, we recently got a card that makes some of those hoops a little bit easier.
Okay.
Plane-wide Celebration
Yes.
is 4 green, and you get to choose 4, and you can choose them
4.
as many times as you want to.
Yeah.
And it's like gain some amount of life, make a 2/2 citizen. That's all 5 colors.
Yes.
And then regrow
Proliferate
something.
and return a permanent from your.
So if you cast Happily Ever After, you've gained some life. Maybe you're above your starting life total. You wait a couple turns. If you cast Plane-wide Celebration, you can gain some more life to get above your starting life total. You can make a citizen to get all 5 colors permanents in play. And now you have an enchantment in play with Happily Ever After. Assuming you've spent some mana for it, you probably have some lands in play. You have a creature in play from your citizen. You have a sorcery in your graveyard from the Plane-wide Celebration. And you're only missing like an artifact, an instant, or a planeswalker.
This is interesting. I don't know if it's good, but I don't know if it's something I want to do.
No, it's not something I want to do, but I figured we were going to get questions about it at some point, so we should talk about it. If you're going to build a Happily Ever After deck, you should probably put Plan-Wide Celebration in it.
Yeah, it does. It does a lot of heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
Also, I think I deem this the Danny Oken invitational card.
Yeah. Also, Bradley Whaley.
Yeah.
Was another one that would love to try this card. Yeah. So
Danny for a while was playing Revel in Riches.
Yeah.
And I am bummed out. I really feel like there should have been a
smorgasbord.
Yeah, a food-based win condition, alternate win condition. So this seems more of a fun card. A less funsies card is Rome Cloaked Giant.
Yeah.
He's a mythic.
He is.
Goes on kind of a murderous adventure.
It sure does.
Cast off for 3 white. Sorcery, destroy all non-giant creatures. The creature side is 5 white for 7/7 vigilance. So this card is as good as Bone Crusher Giant lets it be.
Right. If Bone Crusher Giant is everywhere, which I'm assuming it's going to be, because if you play a deck that is playing any amount of red, you are playing Bone Crusher Giant.
Yes.
If that's the case, Realm Cloak Giant probably isn't great, because Bone Crusher Giant's just going to kill you.
Now, as we were sitting here talking, I was like, is there a deck that plays Bone Crusher Giant and this? Where you are bone crushing someone, then you wrath their board, and you have a Bone Crusher Giant?
I don't think that the Bone Crusher Giant deck wants to get the 7 mana to cast the backside of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's interesting.
It depends how much you value the Plague Wind side of it. I don't think you can just rely on 5 mana Wrath to solve all your problems, especially if you're not casting, if you don't plan on casting the backside of it.
And I guess I don't know how many playable giants there are to build. Yeah. There were a few giants on Ravnica that were 7 and 8 mana. I guess the term giant does not lend itself well to 2-drops.
Right. Makes it kind of tough to curve a bunch of giants into a Plague Wind.
It could be a really good control card because it is your Wrath plus your win condition rolled up into one card.
Yeah.
But if your Wrath misses a 4-power creature, then your Wrath isn't very good.
Right. And we also have a bunch of, not necessarily this effect, but a bunch of things that are a win condition wrapped up in another card that I don't know that a control deck really wants this either. Would you rather do this? I mean, I guess if you're not white-black for Kaya's Wrath, this is the Wrath that we get now. So maybe, but you have the land that makes tokens, that's an acceptable win con.
It just seems like there's a bunch of little random little bits and pieces, but I don't know if it is good enough.
Yep.
When I first saw it, I didn't realize it had the non-giant clause.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. But the non-giant clause kind of balances it. If Bone Crusher Giant can't be good,
right,
then this card becomes great.
And Lightning Strike rotates now, right?
I think so, yeah.
Which makes Bone Crusher Giant's 3 toughness not
as big a liability.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have a Screw the Critics. So, in the new one, whatever the Adamant one is.
Yeah, I don't know if that card even sees play, though.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people hyped about it, but I don't think it's great.
Yeah. So, this next card...
you're super excited for.
May break... maybe not even break. That's not the right word. Will be played in Modern and maybe Legacy. And that's Emery, Lurker of the Luck. Every ability this card has been broken in the past.
Right.
And they just put them all on one card and we're just YOLO.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Let's do it. It's a 3 mana 1/2. It's 2 and a blue.
Sure, it's 3 mana. Let's go with it. It's 3 mana.
Hey, that's what the card says. The card says 2 and a blue.
This spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control.
So it has affinity for artifacts.
Yeah, so it's going to cost blue a lot of times.
Yep.
When it enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
What if my really good cards in the top 4? Tap. Choose target artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. Oh, that's what happens if you put your really good artifact card in your graveyard.
Yeah, like your Cauldron.
Like your Cauldron, or any number of busted modern things.
Right.
There's a lot of random combo potential with this card.
Yeah.
Jeskai Ascendancy from Khans of Tarkir. White, blue, red for an enchantment whenever you cast a non-creature spell. Untap your creature and make it +1.
Untap all creatures you control.
All creatures.
And they all get +1/+1 till end of turn.
Yeah, you're only going to have Emery. Because if you cast that and then you play Mishra's Bauble, you can make your Emery arbitrarily large by just casting it over and over again, and then you'll draw
that's pretty good.
An arbitrary number of cards.
Yeah.
And if your opponent taps out, you just kill them on the spot.
There's also been people talking about adding Paradox Engine to Urza.
Yes.
And to the Legacy Mystic Forge decks.
Yeah.
Like that works with this too.
Yeah, you cast it, you untap your thing, and
you don't get to make it like super big, but
you just get to draw as many cards as you want to draw, and then try to go off the following turn. Like if you have a combo deck and you have 30 cards in your hand and you don't win,
there's something
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
There's that. There's just in the Urza decks, she can find your Thopter Foundry.
Yep.
And cast it, or she can throw your sword in the yard, and then if your Goblin Engineer goes and gets you your Thopter Foundry, she can just let you cast it. You don't have to wait to untap your Goblin Engineer.
Yeah. She also like randomly brings the sword back, right? Like she wears the sword.
Yeah, because it's 1 power.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, she kind of does everything that you want to do in that deck.
Mm-hmm.
And in Legacy, the artifact lands are legal. So, like, if you play one of the Seed of the Synod, the blue one, and, like, a 0-mana artifact, you can cast her on turn 1.
Yeah.
And do whatever shenanigans you're trying to get up to.
Yep. Put LEDs into play from the graveyard and...
Oh, man. I hadn't thought about that. Just like, hey, here's 6 mana.
Yeah.
I have no cards in hand.
We'll pitch your land, cast them out of your graveyard with Emery.
Yeah. Yeah, this seems like reasonable. Seems fine. What could possibly go wrong?
I should probably pick up my last LED.
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
This card does nothing fair in any format.
No.
Right? Because even in Standard, you self-mill, use her to cast your Cauldron out of your graveyard, activate your Cauldron, get back, fill in the blank giant thing.
Yeah.
All in all, this card is not fair. And just has multiple lines of text that have never been fair ever.
Mm-hmm.
What could possibly go wrong?
We're going to find out.
I'm going to find out. This next one is Venturous Gargoyle, which just kind of blunts aggro.
Yeah, it's 1 and a blue for a 5/4 flyer. Huge.
Yeah, 1 and a blue.
Yeah, 1 and a blue.
Is there better be a drawback?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
It's an artifact creature, so that can be kind of a drawback sometimes. Sometimes it's a bonus. Can't attack unless defending player has 7 or more cards in their graveyard.
Okay.
So it either has to be later in the game or if you're on a mill plan.
Yes.
It can't block unless you have 4 or more cards in your hand, and you can tap it to have each player put the top card of their library in their graveyard.
So it eventually turns itself on for attacking.
Right, not for blocking though.
Yeah. But early in the game, when like a 2-mana 5/4 is well above the curve.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have 4 cards in your hand. Against like an aggressive deck, this could come in out of your sideboard.
Right.
And just like brick wall everything.
Yeah, until you're ready to close the game out.
Yeah.
Or until you've filled their
graveyard
with the creatures that it's blocked.
That have run into it.
Yeah.
It can be a big roadblock for red decks just because it's going to make it harder for them to run you over.
Yep.
Because as opposed to playing like, a 2/4 or something, you're playing a 5/4.
Yeah, something huge.
Yeah, that is going to eat all of their 3. Okay, it doesn't eat a Bone Crusher Giant. It trades. But it eats most 3-drops.
Right.
And trades with most 4-drops.
Yep.
And you paid 2 mana for it.
Right.
On turn 2, or you like did something else and played it on turn 4. It seems like it could be good. And like again, like in a control deck, it's the answer that you want for aggressive decks early on, and then it just turns into your way to win the game later in the game.
Yep.
So you don't. Again, it's the 2 halves that you need in that deck.
Yeah. The next thing we're going to talk about here is Murderous Rider, tied for like the top 3 cards in this set, in my opinion. Like for standard.
Yeah, for standard for sure.
Yeah.
It's right up there.
Another adventure card. This one is a 3 mana. It's 1 black for Swift End. It's a instant. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. You lose 2 life. So it's Hero's Downfall. You lose 2 life.
Which
was the best version of that card that we've ever had.
Is just the stone playable card.
Yeah.
Right. Think about how much Vraska's Contempt got played. Now it was 1 more mana.
Yeah, and it exiled.
And you gain life, but it was 1 more mana.
Right.
Right. This is 3 mana.
Right.
Right. Like you're on the draw. Your opponent plays their Teferi and pluses for some reason, and you just get to kill it.
Kill it.
And like you don't fall behind. Like you have or even if they like down take it, you're like, I get to kill it and like get to play the game now.
Yeah, I mean, we played Never to Return and Amonkhet.
Yeah, which was like
that card was a sorcery and bad.
Very bad.
Yeah.
But
and this is just upside.
So
because it has a whole second half of it, which is a Murderous Rider. It's 1 black for a 2/3 with lifelink. And when it dies, instead of going to your graveyard, it goes on the bottom of your library.
Yeah, that's so you can't just like bring it back or recur it and get like your removal spell back.
Right.
Because that would make Gravedigger really good.
Yeah, but it also, like, oddly enough, even though it makes it like you don't have the fun reanimation shenanigans with it, because you're trading them off, you're increasing the
number of removal
spells in your deck, like towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I guess the question is I guess we have Fabled Passage, which is a shuffle effect to like shuffle them back into your deck.
Yeah.
But like in like Standard, maybe it becomes kind of like the Legacy paradigm where you don't fetch with your
until you need it.
Yeah, until you can shuffle 2 Murderous Riders back into your deck.
Right.
As opposed to just like shuffling the thin your deck of lands. You're like, wait, this is gonna get traded off at some point.
Yeah.
I still think this is, if black is at all playable, this is your $15 to $20 rare.
Probably.
That is just gonna be played.
I mean, Bonecrusher Giant might be also.
Yeah. But this is just like...
Yeah, this is going to see play in every deck.
Hero's Downfall was $10 or $15, like all the time.
Vraska's Contempt was $20.
Yeah, this is that card.
Probably.
This is the card that is going to... that they put one of in every fall set.
Yeah.
And then they don't put another one in until that one rotates.
Yep.
And this is that card.
Yep.
It's solid. Again, it's, for a control deck or a mid-range deck, right? A lot of times mid-range decks are kill everyone's stuff and then whoever has the last thing.
Yep. Whoever has the biggest rock.
Yeah, you have a 2/3 lifelink rock.
Yep.
It's not the biggest rock, but you didn't have to draw it.
It's the biggest if everything else is dead.
Yeah, but you used it to kill something on turn 5, and on turn 10, you're like, oh, yeah, I guess I'll play this now.
Yep.
Do something to remind yourself you have creatures on adventures.
There is a token.
But just like the draw your card, see a land, pass the turn, and then go like, oh no, I had an adventure to cast.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be a bookkeeping thing that you're gonna have to do. Arena does it well for you pretty well.
Yeah, but that doesn't really translate to paper though.
Exactly. So. Next up is Claim the Firstborn, which you liked.
Kind of, sort of. I thought it was really interesting, and I hadn't heard anybody talking about it yet.
Yeah.
So I figured we could be the first to talk about Claim the Firstborn. It's a single red mana for a sorcery. It says gain control of target creature with CMC 3 or less until the end of the turn. Untap it, and it gains haste.
So we're kidnapping babies.
Basically.
I'm not okay with this.
Well, the card reads kind of innocuous.
It does.
Because, active treason effects typically are not good.
Yes.
But this is really efficiently costed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much for Standard, although we do have a lot of undercosted beaters in this set.
Yeah.
You have
the giant,
the fairy, Lovestruck Beast.
Yeah.
So there are ways to use it in Standard, but it also steals a lot of really good stuff in older formats.
It does.
You get Death Shadows and Tarmogoyfs, and you can do some damage with it.
I mean, almost worst case, right? The Death Shadow decks will spend their first few turns making it so their Death Shadow is big, and they might not damage you.
Right.
You could just use this to steal it and kill the Death Shadow because your life total would be above 12 or whatever.
Yeah, or you take a giant hit and then kill them with it. If they can't kill you in one shot.
It could have some play.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it initially, but it could.
It also steals Mom.
Oh no. No.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta use my Sigil Step to protect it from being stolen.
Yeah, Mom is the firstborn.
Yes.
Yeah, so it steals tokens.
It does.
Oh.
It steals 20 tokens.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Also, this pairs really well with Priests of Forgotten Gods.
Yeah.
Right? You steal their thing and then you sack it.
Yep.
So.
Also the Lady Lochwain or whatever. Sack draw card.
Oh yeah, sack draw card. Yeah.
Yep.
So it does pair well with those sack things and stealing their creature, sacking it with Priests of Forgotten Gods, making them sack another creature, and drawing a card is just all the cards for one, and you're doing pretty well.
It's also there's kind of a weird play pattern again in Modern, with Liliana the Veil. Her Edict effect isn't great if your opponent's got a bunch of stuff that they don't care about sacking. You can steal it, swing with it, and then target yourself with the edict
and sack it. There you go. So I guess it does have some little things that you can do.
Yeah.
That aren't obvious.
Yeah, like I said, it reads a lot less. It reads differently than it actually plays.
Yeah.
Only because it's so efficient. I think maybe it has a chance, but we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens.
So here's a card that we can't figure out what to do with. This next one. There's Fires of Invention, 4 mana, red enchantment, which puts it at least leaning initially to do nothing.
Right.
You can only cast spells during your turn, and you can only cast 2 spells a turn. So you basically Teferi yourself. You can't play at instant speed.
Right. So that's the downside.
You can play spells with converted mana cost equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana costs.
Right. So you get to cast 2 spells on your turn with CMC equal to the lands you control without paying.
Yeah. So you can play this and then immediately play another 4-drop,
like the Big Angry Dwarf.
Or circuitous route. You can then, if you have 5 lands in play, the next turn you can play 2 5-drop.
It's really weird because it asks some very strange deck building questions of you. It wants you to play a whole bunch of 5 and 6 drops. Like if you're playing this on turn 4 and then going to turn 5, like to have 2 of them in your. I mean, I'm not a math guy, but like to have 2 of them in your hand, you're gonna want like 12ish.
Yeah, you're gonna want a lot.
Yeah. Also, like you also need a bunch of lands because you want to hit like your first 6 land drops.
Yeah.
So you're going to want like 26-ish lands. There's not a whole lot of room left in there after you count 4 of these for things to keep you alive till then.
Yeah. So it is like super awkward as like what the deck looks like.
Yeah.
Right. It's a super powerful effect, like doubling your mana.
Right.
See Nissa, who shakes the world.
Yeah.
Doubling your mana is really good. I mean, even if you just like were slamming 2 5-drops, like you're super far ahead. Like you catch up for playing like a 4-drop that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like how do you make all the numbers work that you aren't just like that your deck works when you don't draw this, but when you do draw it, you just win.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is I don't know that you can make a deck that operates when you don't have this.
Yeah.
Because you're asking such constraints out of your deck.
Yeah, it is super weird. Next up, we have my boy.
Yeah, your boy.
Merchant of the Veil. This is a common. We're all rarities here.
Yep.
Merchant of the Veil is a creature for 2 and a red. It's a 2/3. Pay 2 and a red. Discard a card. Draw a card.
Yep. So it's a looter.
A Rummager.
Sure, it's a Rummager.
And it's not a tap ability though. You can just dump all your mana into it. What I'm interested in is Haggle, which is its adventure, which is red, discard a card, then draw a card. In Dredge, right, Faithless Looting's gone.
It is.
Sorry, Faithless Looting. Being able to discard the card, then draw is super powerful.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Because if you have a Dredger in your hand, you, on turn 1, build your graveyard.
Right.
As opposed to with Faithless, you would have more chances to find your Dredger, but you didn't start dredging until turn 2.
Right.
You have a graveyard right away. It's kind of like Insolent Neonate.
Right.
So you would have 2 of these effects that let you start to build your graveyard on turn 1.
Yeah.
Start to get to a critical mass of like 1 mana, like not cantrip, but rummaging discard effects, right? And Burning Inquiry, I've always said is if you could play it in Dredge, is the best possible draw spell to cast as your second draw spell when you already have a Dredger.
Yeah.
But it is the worst possible one to cast before. With Merchant and Insolent Neonate, you now have a way to turn 1, try to build a graveyard to then free you up to turn 2. Burning Inquiry.
Flip your deck.
Yeah, and just flip everything over.
Yeah.
And hope that's good enough.
I mean, it should be. Burning Inquiry is pretty powerful if you already have a Dredger in the yard.
Burning Inquiry is 1 red. Both players draw 3 and then discard 3 at random.
Yep.
So you also have the backdoor of blowing up your opponent's hand.
Yeah.
Or like...
Which happens.
Yeah. Randomly, they discard all their lands and like they just can't do anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you drive them in the gas, but you know... risks.
Sometimes you also leave them with no lands.
Yeah. Risks. It's fine.
Yep.
Right? So Merchant of the Veil does give us another like discard draw. Might be useful in that deck. It's kind of, I think everyone says it's still good, but I think it's still like searching for a Faithless replacement.
Well, like the versions that people are currently saying is still good. Don't really rely on dredgers, though. Like, they've kind of gone more towards self-mill, which is...
So it's a different deck.
Next, we have a trio of cards that I'm calling the foodies.
The foodies.
Yep, we've got a Curious Pair is a adventure card. It's 1 and a green for a 1/3. And then its adventure is Treats to Share. 1 green mana, make a foodies.
Yep.
If the food deck is a thing, like this is a cheap way to get a food. The food deck is probably also black and green.
Yes.
Black and green has like a subtle sacrifice theme.
Yeah.
Like with Vraska, Golgari Queen, Gotten God, stuff like that. Like you have uses for a random, like garbage 1/3 body.
Yeah.
So if there's a food deck, this probably sees play in it. The next is Gilded Goose. It's a 1 mana 0/2 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, make a food.
Yep.
You can tap it and sacrifice a food to add a mana of any color. So it's kind of Birds of Paradise, but it uses food. And this can also generate food.
So what if you don't need mana? What can we do with this food?
If you don't need the mana to pump in a Gilded Goose, you could always sacrifice 3 foods to Feasting Troll King.
Okay. Feasting Troll King. This is my thing here.
Yeah.
2 green, 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 green.
Yeah.
For a 7/6 Vigilance Trampler.
Mm-hmm.
And now you usually want to cast these cards. You just want to get them back for little to no mana.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if you cast me, I'll give you 3 food.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Feasting Troll King. If it's in your graveyard, you can sack 3 food and put it onto the battlefield.
For free,
no mana.
Yep.
So you have all these like random like food generating cards that are, then if you can like put a Feasting Troll onto the graveyard ahead on good mana and just slam a 7/6.
Yeah, I mean like the Gingerbread House and Curious Pair probably aren't good enough to play on their own, like if there isn't a dedicated food deck. But you also have cards like Gilded Goose and Oko
that
are good enough to play on their own.
And then there's also like a few things that are food in addition to their other types.
Yeah.
So the Ginger Brute.
Ginger Brute is also randomly food.
And Golden Egg is also a food. The Golden Egg is like 2 mana artifact, comes into play, draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
You can like, pay 2 to gain 3 life, and then pay 1 to like make a mana of any color. It like filters mana as well. So if you can get your Feasting King into your graveyard with 3 food on like turn 3, Goose into the Golden Egg, into the new discard Tormenting Voice, play Curious Pair, get your 3rd food. It's troll time.
It's troll time.
That sounds great. My experience with a reanimation deck say that'll never happen.
Probably.
But if there is a food deck, if there is a way that's just functional, this is a good thing that you could just cast it and then it just comes back.
It is certainly a deck that we should mess around with in the arena portion that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yes.
Side note, did you notice where I ended up at this GP? After being like dead for day 2 after round like 6.
299? Yeah. Top 300.
Top 300.
There you go. Yeah. The top 192 made it to day 2. You were so close.
I was.
All right, so we're going to talk about Arena real quick because we've just been informed we've been over close to 2 hours here. So
time flies when you're having fun.
Thanks for hanging out with us. So Arena, the new set's going to drop on Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah, the 26th.
Okay.
If you're listening to this, if you hear the sound of my voice before the 26th, if you go enter the code 5 bonus levels, capital F, capital B, capital L, that will give you 5 levels towards your mastery.
5,000 experience.
For a core 2020 mastery pack.
Yep.
So that's something to get some free stuff.
Hopefully get your mastery pass.
Yeah, get you far enough up that it was like worth you if you bought it or whatever.
Yep.
Or get you a few packs, because that should get you at least 2 packs.
It gave me 3.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
So yeah, you're going to get 2 or 3 packs out of it.
Yep.
And then they're doing a new event.
Yeah, they announced a weird thing. Like they always did the streamer events where they'd give streamers like unlimited access accounts where they could build whatever they wanted for a night and stream it. They're giving everybody that. Yeah,
for 12 games, you can play any card in Standard. Yep. So they just give you complete phantom access to all the cards in Standard. Build any deck you want and play it for 12 matches. The Wizards computer gremlins come take your cards back. But then, like 2 weeks later, they're having a big standard event where you get, again, you enter the event and they give you access to all the cards in standard, and you have one opportunity, one shot to get 12 wins. And if you get 12 wins before you get 2 losses,
you get a copy of every card in standard.
Yes, is it one copy, not a playset? Or is it just...
When you were reading it to me, you said one.
I think it is one,
one playset.
I think it's one copy. You get one copy of every card in standard.
And also, like, a bunch of gold and...
other stuff.
A cat, or not a cat.
Something
An
else.
avatar, some sleeves.
Yeah. That's a whole lot of gems if you have a reasonable collection.
Yeah.
Or it's a whole lot of collection. A lot of vault progress.
Yeah.
And as you go down, you get less.
Right.
But like I think if you get 11 wins, you get a complete set. One card, one of each card from Eldraine. So, which is still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they basically, and it goes down to even if you just register and then get no wins,
get like the sleeves and the avatar or something.
Yeah, you get like the sleeves and like one rare card or like something like. And it's a free to enter event.
Right.
So they're just giving you...
You only get one shot, though.
Yeah. So you enter it, you build your best deck with all the cards in standard, and then you get 12 wins or 2 losses, and then you get whatever you earn from that.
Yep.
But the EV is like infinite because like
you pay nothing.
You pay nothing.
Yep. And they gave you all the cards to play in
so it's super easy. It's free money. It'll be interesting. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people tweeting out how they did. And deck lists.
What decks they used.
That'll be kind of the beginning of like the standard meta game getting figured out.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like the SCG release weekend event, and then like that event is the next like Monday or something.
Yeah.
So that'll be like where that all kind of shakes out.
And that's good because we need a whole bunch of data for our next event.
Yeah, we got to figure out what we're going to play in Richmond.
Yep. Which is like a month away.
5 weeks or something.
Yeah.
It's soon. Soon, beginning of that is the big thing on Arena. Like, I think they're still doing the core 2020 event for a few more days.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't played Arena in 3 days. I'm jonesing. I haven't it's weird.
You didn't play enough Magic this weekend. You gotta go play some more Magic.
I gotta get more gold, man. Can't just let Wizards not give me free gold.
So I had an idea for new standard too. I don't know if you read this in the show notes or not.
No, I did not.
I think that we should have all of our listeners shoot us the list that they're working on.
There you go.
And we can like retweet them or put them on Facebook or whatever.
There you go.
Kind of have like a big roundtable discussion with all our listeners.
There you go.
So all your sweet new Eldraine brews.
We can take a look.
Yep. Let us have them.
Get everyone to take a look.
Yep. We'll give you some feedback. Let you guys give each other some feedback. We got a reasonably sized community now, I think.
Yeah.
So.
And if we register your deck, we'll put you down as a deck designer. There we go.
100%.
100%.
Yep.
I usually put the deck designer down as the internet, but I'll actually give you a name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Use like the internet.
I will totally give you a shout out on the podcast and on my deck red sheet.
There we go.
And where's Nick?
The nerd?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he left us for Tim Hortons. Is he trapped in a Tim Hortons?
I don't know. We haven't heard from him in forever.
Oh man, he might have got trapped in a Tim Hortons. Or he got like attacked by a moose. Those are in Canada.
They are. Yes, they are in Canada.
Yeah, I hear they're mean.
I don't think they have snow yet, so there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Nick.
Come on, Nick. Come back to us. So I think that's all the stuff we wanted to hit on today, right? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not really talk about, but I did want to mention that we are like going to get historic in like a week.
Is it a week? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, historic also.
Yeah.
Let's figure out new standard and historic.
I think historic's already figured out.
Probably.
It involves Kethis, the Hidden Hand, and Emery.
Yeah, probably.
Good talk, everyone. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, just 4-color.
Hey, that deck was 4-color before.
That's true.
4-color, mill yourself harder.
Yeah.
And cast all your artifacts out of the graveyard. Yeah, in.
Yep.
Deck's going to be great.
Let's figure out standard first, and we'll work on historic.
Yeah.
So, we purposely did not cover a whole bunch of our GP Atlanta trip this week because we knew we had a bunch to touch on with Eldraine. So next week's episode is going to be GP like recap.
Yeah, we're going to do GP recap and sealed first impression.
Yep.
Just cards that were good and stuff like that.
Yep.
We figured we can kind of like roll those together and touch back in on our on how we felt the prep was for the event.
Spoiler alert, it was good.
I think that's the second time you've said that.
Yeah.
It was real good, apparently.
It was real good, yeah. I really enjoyed how we prepped for this one. The week after that, we're going to do our Brawl episode, so stay tuned for that. That should be fun. We're looking forward to it.
Yep. I think the plan is, unless you guys tell us otherwise, upgrades.
Yep.
Like how to get the deck to, what looks like a reasonable thing. And I've already got the decks built in Arena.
You're such a nerd.
I have a 2-lane deck built with swamps as the placeholders for Eldraine cards. Now there is some new stuff that came out since I first did that, but yeah, we'll be putting that together.
So also, one more thing about Arena is that announcement where we got the open standard event announcement. They also announced some other things that are coming to Arena.
Oh, friends list.
Including a friends list.
Yeah.
So I don't know when they said that was coming.
That's like in the under development. It's like it was like in the second tier. There's like things that are coming, and then maybe it was in the first tier, but yeah, it should be soonish.
Maybe we can use Arena to jam some gameplay videos with our tuned decks.
There we go. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, it might be something cool to do.
Yeah, we can still direct challenge each other now as long as like the 85 hexadecimal digit code,
right? And like Kidney and perform a rain dance and
it's rough.
Pray to the dark gods and sacrifice a goat.
Don't you then tap me and I get to draw a card, sacrifice a goat.
No, we didn't talk about that card.
No, I do like drawing cards though. That's all it takes to draw cards to give me some goats. So now you got to go look at what card we're talking about. Scryfall goat.
One more thing for this the Brawl episode that we're doing. Our most popular episode was the Challenger deck review and the upgrades. So we're hoping you guys are going to really like this. And you should tell like everybody at your local game store about our Brawl deck upgrade videos.
Might be into Brawl.
Yeah.
Because hopefully it'll help them out.
Yeah, help them out, grow our community a little bit.
Yeah, let people know.
Yep.
So with that, I think we're good.
Yep.
Been a long one.
Super long. I'm tired of talking.
Yes. Guess we'll catch you at pre-release?
We will catch you at pre-release.